Welcome to the Responsible Marketing Podcast. Conversations about marketing, sustainability, and how we can all help in becoming more responsible organisations. I'm Jo, a marketing strategist and consultant with a career spanning corporate, small medium business and self-employment, incorporating marketing and commercial skills in various guises, and now flying the flag for a more sustainable and kind future for all. My guest in today's episode is Suzanne Thomas from Mud & More, based in the northeast of England, who took a break between classes to tell us more about how she started, why Mud & More, and what's next for her and founding partner Vicky Hindle. Suzanne and I discussed Suzanne's family legacy with nature, how confidence is key to opening up creativity, as is failing, would potters be our saviours in a zombie apocalypse, and the magical effects of working with clay. And as a bonus for anyone watching on YouTube, you can take a little tour around the Mud & More studio at the end. Let's dive straight in. Hi everyone, and welcome to the podcast. I'm delighted to have Suzanne Thomas with me from Mud & More. Hi Suzanne.
Hi Jo, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I know you've had a busy day already, so it's almost your downtime between class, isn't it?
It actually is.
So
yeah.
I know, thank you so much for squeezing me in to
Pleasure.
do this recording. I first met you properly at a networking event in Barnard Castle. And I think I made a salt pot, which I think is on my table.
Well done.
I know.
Well done.
And I was just so chuffed because obviously, you were talking about your healing balms and things like that, but also about the pottery. And you gave us all a bit of pottery to kind of like make something with, and we all made to instruction. And I was so pleased when it came back that I could actually use it. Because, it's always one of those things where I'm not really sure. So tell me, that was really when you were What Sue Grew, Made and Found, right? Right? So you're different now. I mean, you are still Sue, clearly, but you are in a different form. So tell us about how that first started when I met you, and then how you've moved on to what you do now.
That's a really interesting question. So What Sue Grew, Made and Found was actually happened during the pandemic, and it was a bringing together of all my separate businesses, and it was the idea of our children. Okay. They kept saying, you're doing this, that and the other, but actually what you are is what Sue grew, made and found. And they were right. And actually I found it nicer being under a banner. Yeah. And I started to draw them all together. And I started workshops that I took across Teesdale based on those three things. What I grew was generally food and healing plants that I made into my balms. What I made became pottery, but previous to that it was jams and breads and very traditional skills. And what I found was antiques and vintage items that could be recycled. I used to spend my summers in France for 5 or 6 weeks in our motorhome collecting stock, came home and I sold them digitally, I sold them online. Wow. I had previously had a shop, but then being that sandwich generation, I was needed at home. We had a child at home that wasn't very well at all. My dad had been diagnosed with dementia, and throughout that journey, my mum also became very ill and passed. Okay. So I was doing a lot of looking after. A lot
of caring.
Very much so. And our grandchildren had started to arrive. So it was a bringing together of lots of different things, and it gave me something to think about that was other than the family and at home and the caring that I was doing.
And just going back to, because obviously you brought to that meeting that I met you at, the healing balms and things like that, and I mean I find it fascinating. So where did you learn all that from?
So it was a family thing.
It was
Okay. The plant knowledge came from my mother's side of the family. Okay. Mum was born before the NHS and came from a family that knew poverty. Yeah. And they were large families, and plants were their only access to medical care. Right. And my mum talks about her grandma a lot, and she spent her childhood with a grandma, and the generations that came before. So my mum had all the plant knowledge. She had a plant solution for any of life's problems. Yeah. But obviously Western medicine had really taken over. Yeah. And she was a big believer in that too. Okay. So she had the knowledge and she shared the knowledge. But I generally failed to listen and didn't see it as relevant. Right up until during the pandemic, my hands were already failing with arthritis, and they become stiffened and my joints were distending. And I use my hands for everything that I do, and it panicked me. In sheer frustration, I cleared a patch of nettles in my allotment, and that was the first night I had no pain. And that got my curiosity up. Yeah, it was definitely a personal need. It was the nettles. But I didn't understand what it was about the nettles that helped. It didn't take much research to find out that actually nettles have been used by the NHS. They'd been used for thousands of years for arthritis. But the difficult part was actually making a product that worked and was consistent. But I went back to my chef's training. So chefs make recipes up. You've just got to keep testing them and be consistent. It was about a year of trying and trying and trying, and all I ever did was fail. So it just didn't work. Very much so. I went to a lady that I knew that was very positive and encouraging, and she kept saying to me, just keep going, just keep trying it, because you will get there. But you're going to have to fail first. And
was she making balms and things?
No, she was just different? She was, she has a company called Eating and Living, and she takes a holistic approach to health. And she was a massage therapist. I went to visit her every week, and it was her encouragement that kept me going. I finally cracked it. Once I cracked it, I wanted 10 people to try it out. So I put a message out on the local Facebook group. From that, 10 people turned into 100.
Oh my goodness.
So 100 tester pots went out, but the results were quite amazing. And I started being asked for it. So that's when I started doing the workshops and teaching people to do it themselves. And I went up to the hub where I started looking after their herb garden. And
that was
really,
you, herb fairy.
That was me.
Right, got you.
I also grew a whole hill of.
Because
at the end of the day, you need to know your nettles haven't been stressed. That was a lot of the problem. So a place where dogs were walked but on leads, and also that people weren't tramping through and were away from car fumes as well. I was very aware of the conditions I wanted my nettles to grow in. So the nettles were the start, but then every time our family came up with a problem, a medical problem, I found a plant solution, just like my mum, and the collection of balms grew. What I enjoy most about them is introducing people to the idea of nature as a healer. Our ancestors always knew that. That's what they did up until the 1950s, when the pharmaceutical companies, which I am extremely grateful for, modern medicine is incredible. But there's also alternatives, and the alternatives can often come with fewer side effects. So each time the family came up with an issue, I came up with a balm.
Amazing. And your mum didn't leave a legacy, didn't leave like a little book or anything with recipes in or anything?
Definitely not.
'Cause it's not that long. If you said it was, you know, like your mum and your grandma really that were doing this kind of like herb healing really and making the balms and things, it wasn't that long ago.
No, it really wasn't. But
you've
also
got fascinating.
You've got to understand as well that people have always had a very difficult relationship with women who use plants to heal.
Yes, it's going through my mind already.
I can't tell you how many. I'm going to have to say this, but it is definitely men of a certain age that follow me around this town whose hands don't hurt anymore and feet don't hurt anymore, and they call me Witchy Sue.
Well,
because that's how they interpret it. But I'm far from a witch.
A
and
white
I also
witch maybe,
believe
which isn't too bad. Well, I'll look out for you on Friday because it's Halloween on Friday.
It's our day of specialness.
Exactly.
But
I think I'll be stood beside you, to be fair. So.
But I think people are distrusting of women who heal. They are.
I think there's a comeback of that though.
Is.
You know, I've been I mean I love reading, and I've been around some quite old bookshops recently, and there's loads of books now on witches and the history of witching, and or witchcraft, not witching, but witchcraft, and and using nature actually.
It's
You know, it's
exactly
that
it.
type of witchcraft. It's not hocus pocus kind of
No,
around
not
a
at all.
cauldron type of thing. But yeah, I find it just incredible, and I love the fact that these stories are coming back out again as well.
Yeah, they
That's so. Take us then. So obviously that was kind of like one version of you, and now you're Mud and More.
Exactly right.
And something completely different, as
Totally.
in business-wise, but not necessarily what you actually do necessarily. So talk us through what you are now as Mud and More.
So Mud and More came about because I was getting heartily sick of filling my car with trays and going from lots of different places to lots of different places, and I was getting tired.
Yeah.
And also there was nowhere locally that I could just do everything in one place.
Yeah.
So it was a bit like the Field of Dreams. If we build it, they will come.
Yeah.
And perhaps people would come to us,
Yeah.
as opposed to me trailing everything around. I used to have one whole room in my house that was devoted to packed up trays for the various different workshops and the different places.
crikey.
And it was just time
Yeah.
that it all came under one roof.
Yeah.
So that's where Mud and More came from.
Right. And you've got a business partner as well.
Yes.
And it's a community
Vicky.
interest company. So just explain what's the difference between, I guess, your standard business versus I think the business versus a charity versus a kick.
Sure, they're very different creatures. And to be honest, when we set up, we weren't sure which one
Okay.
we should be.
Yeah.
So we initially had a meeting with Business Durham to help us put that framework around. And it was explained to us that charity, which is what we thought we were going to be,
Yeah.
had a lot of benefits and we'd have much more access to grants.
Okay.
So that did sound appealing, but it also would mean that we'd have a board of trustees that if they felt they wanted our company to go in a different direction, then we could be pushed aside and that could happen. And we felt such strong conviction about how we were defined, what we were going to look like and who we were going to serve, that we didn't really want to do that.
Yeah.
As far as a commercial company, that would have been obvious to me. You know, I did my degree in hospitality management, I've got my postgrad in marketing, and I've been self-employed since 1999.
Okay.
But the last 10 years of my working life are going to be different, Jo, and it is about community and connection and leaving a legacy that changes some of the things that I encountered along the way, that I truly believe art is for everyone. And it was time to actually put both feet on the ground and make something that would leave that as a legacy is the right word.
Yeah,
it is a legacy
definitely
we're
thumbprints
seeking.
definitely is what you're wanting to leave, isn't it? And I have no doubt you're going to do that because you know you have an amazing reputation. You know,
That's very kind.
Yeah, you do. You know, you can, like you say, you're well known around town. I think you're very well known in Teesdale actually. Hopefully this will help you get out a bit more as well and get people coming to you. So Mud and More is still, you don't necessarily make healing balms here, but you do.
We do.
Oh, you do?
Yes, we do.
Oh, so you do
There's
do
a lot
everything
more.
still?
Yes,
Okay.
we do. So the difference is, for the first time, those balms will be licensed.
Okay.
And they will be used as a way of raising funds to subsidise the work that we do here.
Okay.
And that has come about because of my business partner, Vicky Hindle.
Yep.
So it was the meeting of her and I that changed everything. So I wanted a community pottery. All I actually had was a kiln. And I spent best part of 9-10 months knocking at every place I could think of in Teesdale that would house it, and talking to everybody I thought who could help with that plan. I got nowhere. And I was Vicky's hand building tutor at Teesdale Pottery Group.
Okay.
And I was banging on about it to her one day, and she said to me, why don't we meet for a coffee so I could actually understand what you're trying to do, and perhaps I could maybe help a little. So we met for this coffee. 40 minutes turned into 4 hours.
Oh my goodness.
I already had I already had a workshop planned that was in town. It had no electricity. It had no water.
Okay.
You could see through the roof, but I felt it had potential. And Vicky looked at it and she said, it's great. However, I feel that what you're talking about needs a bigger audience and needs a purpose premise. Vicky's background is project manager for Hull City Council when they brought in the City of Culture bid, and Vicky project managed the rebuilding of a whole city centre. And it was incredible. And those skills and knowledge are something that I have not got anywhere close to. She also was the diversity and inclusion officer for a housing association in quite a disparate area. So her understanding of all of that was just what Mud and More needed. And it was Vicky who came up with the title. It was Vicky who came up with the business plan. It was Vicky who put all of the boundaries around it that would help us develop and grow. And I'm one for getting my hands mucky. I like to do the practical jobs. But without Vicky, this would literally not exist.
That's amazing, isn't it?
She's an amazing lady.
Yeah,
she truly
I have
is.
met her briefly. And I mean, you two strike an amazing partnership. It's fabulous to see you together. It is fabulous to see you together. I hadn't realised her background was so different actually in some ways, so that's really interesting. But the fact is, I suppose, like you said, not that you're not on that kind of like really good grassroots community field, if you like, but she obviously brings that a little bit closer as well from a practical point of view, I guess. And that's really what you're about, isn't it? Bringing communities together, and it's not just children, but it's all wide varieties. What kind of people? I shouldn't say what kind of people. That's awful, isn't it? But
no, you're right, Jo, and it's really hard to define. But it's the people left behind. So when we first came in, one of the things that we used to say is like, "No man left behind." We literally are for everyone.
Yeah.
But then this beautiful saying came into my life, and I love it so much that it's become our saying, and it is, a rising tide lifts all boats. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. My mum had a beautiful saying that was, if everyone does a little bit, nobody has to do a lot. So this is the place where everybody can do a little bit and nobody has to do a lot. And we've connected people up within the community that, you know, wouldn't have a chance to do creative tasks. Or some of them, one chap that I've got permission to talk about has no language. He's no language. No, he uses Magatron. And for 2 years, we've been taking the clay to him. And actually, we built up a little group, so that he's in tonight. He now comes to the big group. And he has developed his own hand signs for different pottery terms, and he creates and he makes amazing things.
How freeing must that be for him to be able to, it just shows the confidence you've built in him to be able to, you know, get himself back out into the open world, if you like, and interact with other people. That's quite incredible. What an amazing story. So the pottery, obviously, the pottery is quite a substantial part of Mud and More, isn't it? And that's always been one of your things.
Yeah, it has.
Why does the pottery appeal? Why does the clay? Why does it appeal to you?
How long have you got? How long have you got? So, in the pandemic, there was a plate dug up in the Thames riverbank, and it was from the same year as the Great Fire of London, 1666, and it said upon it, and it was all intact, and it said upon it, "You and I are Earth." And we are.
Oof.
Isn't it beautiful?
That's the witchy stuff.
Yeah, totally. It's giving me goosebumps. My connection with nature, this is mud. It really is mud. It's the top of mountains and it's the bottom of riverbeds. And often what people have in their hands could be millions of years old. It's definitely hundreds and thousands of years old. But what they're about to create and make has never existed in the world before. Who'd not want to get involved in that?
It is a lot of fun.
It's beautiful.
It is a lot of fun. And you do feel people with a lot of confidence because, you know, well, I said to you when we were talking about doing this recording that, you know, my art, I have a very Well, it depends on what you classify as art, but art as a definition, as in painting, drawing, oh my goodness, like
totally.
I struggle with a stick person.
So do I.
So, but I can make a salt pot now.
Yes, you can.
And actually, I'm going to mention Lindsay Starborn because she is an absolute belter of a person as well.
Yeah, she is.
And she spent a lot of time with me when I did a couple of workshops with her, throwing pottery on the wheel, and that was such a lot of fun. So yeah, I have some other pots at home that she's glazed for me and things like that. So where do you get your clay from? You've talked about the fact that from Darlington, okay. And is there a reason you get it from there specifically, or is that just because it's closest? Or
it's not very far away.
Yeah.
Everything I do is sustainable, Jo. You know, when I was a teenager, we had some incredible geography teachers up at that school up there, and they were very aware that the environment was changing, and they were very aware that we'd be part of those changes and life would be different. And that proper panicked me.
Really?
Yeah,
so they were quite explicit with what they were saying?
Yeah, they were very much so.
Okay.
And all that knowledge was just starting to come out. And being a lover of nature, that was something that was not acceptable to me. At 21, I resolved to only take 21 flights in my entire life. Return flights. Okay. Do you know how many up to, Jo? 12. Okay. And that is only because I kept saving them, thinking that I'd have all these lovely places. But actually, everything I love is in Teesdale right here. We have a motorhome because I don't want to take those flights. I use the motorhome to go to France, to buy antiques, to bring it back and make a business. Now we use the motorhome for downtime. So we go to nature every single time with big bird watchers.
It's good, it's good.
Huge bird watchers, and we like our bikes.
Okay.
So we
as in
take
motorbikes
everything.
or cycle
push bikes.
Just checking.
Yeah. Most things with an engine I don't even throw because it's a machine.
Yeah,
I like to use my hands.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people who do throw in here, but for me, it's hands.
But you like hands?
Yeah, I do, especially now the work.
Hand built. What do you call it? Hand built.
It is hand building.
Hand built.
Yeah,
hand building. Yeah. Okay, so I guess going back to sustainability point of view, you're still kind of moving. Well, you're not moving the clay, but you're taking the clay from the earth.
That's
I realise
exactly
you're making something else, and I do. I mean, clearly, I'm supportive of that. But on a slightly different scale, so I was talking to someone fairly recently about house building and the amount of emissions, for example, that when you plant a plant in your garden, because you've moved the soil, there's clearly emissions coming out. So how do you pick the clay that you use to make sure it's the least negative impact, I guess, on the, like you say, obviously you buy it local, which is great, but what about when it's moved or where it comes from? Is there an exhaustible supply? I can't believe we're ever going to use enough clay, like when we're making pots and things, you know. There'll be other industries, I guess, that use it first. But, you know, how do you balance that, like, as to where you get your sources or your resources from?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. So I've already explained that we only go to Darlington and we go and collect it as we need it. Clay is one of the world's most abundant resources because it's made through a natural process of weathering of top of mountains that don't even exist anymore and rivers that have long dried up. It is something that I do believe we wouldn't be sat here right now having this discussion if it wasn't for clay. Because when we were hunter-gatherers, one bright spark at some point picked up some mud, pressed it into a form, and maybe it's accidentally, maybe it's on purpose, popped it onto a fire. The second they did that, it started to vitrify, it went harder, and then all of a sudden, instead of being hunter-gatherers, we could store food, we could cook food, we could trade food, and it changed our whole evolution, just the ability to do that. So we have used ceramics since that time, and a lot of it is still available to be dug up because it's hard wearing, it's durable, and it saves us using plastics. You know, we have only been using plastics since the turn of last century. ceramics. You know, the guys next door in the archaeological unit, they regularly invite me in so I can go and have a look at their beautiful Roman pots.
My goodness.
And that's how long it lasts, Joe.
Yeah.
I do believe if there's a zombie apocalypse, or if
I
the
hope
climate
I'm not here for
certainly
that, but yeah.
takes over, it'll be potters that we need to get us going again, so that we can have the tools that we want to be able to exist.
Well, we'll definitely
As
need more
far
Sues. We're going to have to clone you, I think, if we have an apocalypse, because we'll need a Sue in every home, I think, because we're all a bit useless at it now.
The knowledge is definitely out there, but it's on the internet, and
Yeah.
actually that's no good.
Yeah.
It's in books, but that's no good, and it's not always accurate either.
No, exactly.
It really isn't.
Exactly, yeah.
As far as the digging up of it is concerned, you could go out to Bowes and go and dig up clay. That is possible. When I was working in Bow School and after school clay club, they used to bring me it in little bags. So here, miss, can we make something out of this? And the answer actually is indeed yes, but we are going to have to work out the firing temperature.
Okay.
What's not sustainable about the pottery process, and something that concerns me quite greatly, is the firing. So as Mud and More, we are seeking to earn enough money to buy an eco kiln. Kilns have just changed.
Oh, wow.
And eco kilns now exist.
Yeah.
What we can do within the studio that does indeed help is we've wired the big kiln to its own circuit so that we could access overnight firings at a more sustainable rate.
Yeah.
What is an issue is not the natural material that is clay, but what is an issue are the glazes. That's a big issue because they use deep-rooted chemicals, and a lot of them come from all over the world. That's our next place to look. And what we are looking at is talking to Lindsay about making our own glazes and being much more knowledgeable about where these things come from and how they're used.
So
but
there's still
it's
work
learning.
to do, but
a lot of
it's
work to do.
learning, yeah.
A lot
And
of
even
work.
like you say, even on a fairly small scale, but equally important kind of industry, the cottage industry that you've got, that, you know, even then there is scope for you to,
There
I
is.
don't want to say improve because you're doing an
there
amazing
is.
job,
Yeah,
but you
no,
know,
there
to
is.
learn more and then to bring more back in.
Yes.
And so the eco kiln, is that because it uses less electricity?
Yeah,
or,
they're designed
okay.
differently, and it's the first time. You can wood fire,
Okay.
and you can do that outside. There is talk about bringing a wood-fired kiln into Teesdale.
We did do an outdoor firing with
pit
Lindsay,
firings
actually. Yeah, pit
in
firing.
the
Yeah, we
hub
did
grounds,
do one in the hub. Yeah.
It's still talked about.
Yeah,
Because I think Lindsay had to get a pickaxe.
She did.
Yes.
But the flames were amazing. It was beautiful to watch, and then a little bit scary. But it was really good. It was amazing. So obviously your knowledge base is incredible, and I guess you use that to educate people then to take that home with them and educate their other people in their houses or their neighbours or whatever. Is that one of your also kind of like one of your legacies that you want to leave?
Always been that.
Yeah. Okay.
That all knowledge should be shared.
Yeah.
It's not to be kept. And also there's a fear that my family's generational knowledge, the children aren't interested. The grandchildren, bless them, they listen. Whether or not they take it up, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I think I deeply care. I'm passionate about the people that live in Teesdale, as were my parents.
Okay.
My dad was mayor of Barnard Castle 4 times.
Really?
My mum was the only ever free woman of this town.
Amazing.
Yeah, and that was for the community work they both did. And we were volunteering in the community from being children. It was just very natural part of what we always did. And my mum believed that kindness was a currency too, and that you could be very rich if only you could find that kinder side. And she's right, and it perpetuates itself. One act of kindness creates another act of kindness, and on it goes. So within the studio ourselves, what we were very aware of was funding cliff edges, that often programs are put in that are very healing and beneficial, but then the cliff edge comes and everything stops. Yeah. So Vicky and I are using our business knowledge to ensure that we're financially secure, and we write into the business plan a certain proportion of people it is means tested, and that's on purpose, because there are plenty of times where people of good means access it because it's easy, and we know there's so many people within Teesdale. It's quite shocking when you look at the figures, Joe. 7 out of 10 Teesdale residents have one or more markers of deprivation, according to the county council, according to their figures. I grew up here.
That's the ones that they know.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, yeah.
It's invisible and it's also silent, but it attracts a lot of funding. Because of the deprivation.
Yeah, I know when we set up well, I didn't set it up, I say we, but when the hub set up the food bank when the pandemic hit, and I was involved in that, and it was a real eye-opener for me. You know, I consider myself very lucky anyway, but it was a real eye-opener during the pandemic for those people who were very lonely for a start, but also couldn't afford to feed their families or whatever. But also when people weren't taken back to work as well, and still the food bank's going. And I find that incredible because it doesn't. I think when you come to Teesdale, you think it's a really affluent, because it's so beautiful and there's so many beautiful buildings and it's really busy with business and everything else. But actually, like you say, it is a typically rural area, isn't it? With a lot of deprivation actually within there.
It has.
Yeah, so your impact on the community is massive, and you mentioned before about working in prisons as well. So is that quite new?
It's the best work we've done.
Is it
I
really?
love it.
As in, like, very satisfying for you emotionally.
Deeply.
Yeah. Okay.
Deeply satisfying emotionally.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. The work we do within prisons is very much related to the course I took in 2006, which is at the Institute of Art and Therapy and Education in Islington in London. I took a diploma on art and therapy, and we were presented with 7 art forms. And the idea was that you could access healing and connection through art and creativity.
Yeah.
Of those 7, only clay was immediate and worked for everyone.
Really?
Yeah, only clay.
Okay.
And I see it over and over again at that table over there and many other tables, and definitely within the prisons that we work in. Yeah. People calm down, and whether it's because it's earth or because their hands are busy, their mind's starting to quieten down, and it's very different when you've only got 1 hour to work with people who've never worked with clay, who are going to struggle with instruction. And they definitely do that. So we keep all that to a minimal. What we do is we issue an invitation, and the invitation is make something practical and useful that you can use or that you can send home, and that sparks them up. Some of the things they make within an hour with no instruction just blows your mind.
Really? What kind of things have you had
Lots
produced?
of teddy bears.
Oh my goodness, really?
No, lots of ashtrays too.
Oh, okay. Well,
Cups,
very practical.
Cups. Beautiful little plaques with gorgeous words on that are sent home to families.
Amazing.
And or it's just something as simple as a tiny little pot that Dad's put his thumb in, and that the children can also put their thumb in.
Yeah.
And they can put them in their favourite colours, send them home.
Yeah.
What the people within the prisons that are organised and all that tell us is that they can feel a ripple-on effect for days afterwards, because it's a calming thing to do. But also it's about being met. So we work. They're quite big groups, but we make sure everybody gets a bit of individual attention, and we send it over to them. What do you want to make? Not just follow me. This is what we're going to make. We're all going to make the same things. It's not like that
let
at all.
you go and do your own thing. It's interaction there. Yeah, it's just about being seen, isn't it?
It is about being seen and heard. To be honest, one of the things that most shocked me was the manners. Manners are really, so it's all please and thank you, and
I know someone else who also takes a very different kind of art form into prisons, and they also say, although it's quite daunting the first time, the reception you get when you go in next time is so remarkably different, and
really is.
And manners and courtesy and everything else, and they are humans after all, aren't they?
They are. And consideration, though. I'll have to tell you this one little story.
Yeah.
So we're glazing, and this chap says to me, "Oh, miss, are these paints expensive? I said, yeah, they are actually. They're really expensive. They're not paints, it's glass suspended in water. But yeah, they're really expensive. He went, do you want some more? I said, we're always looking for more. Why are you asking? He went, I'm a shoplifter. Oh. I'll get you some. I was like, no, it's all right. We'll pay for ours.
Can't do
fine.
Contraband.
No, thank you. But
well,
kind
the
offer.
Was there, though.
Kind
yeah,
offer.
So if you ever get a shortage, you know where to go. I wonder where he shoplifts them from, even better. That's so funny. Going back to your art is for everyone. So I mentioned obviously that my drawing is just, and I have to just shout out these amazing
They're
sheep,
brilliant, aren't they? They're
sheep
really
and
good.
a Highland cow. And just these animals behind us are just incredible. So you've had a gentleman that come in to take that workshop, right, or to deliver the workshop. But that, I mean, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, you can.
I know, I really can't. I think there's a challenge.
I'll tell you how.
There's a challenge coming, isn't there?
I'll tell you how. Yeah, there is.
There could be a second part to this recording,
there definitely
maybe.
is. So it works like this. The chap who came in is an artist, and he delivers these workshops all over the north. He's very popular. He's really hard to work.
Okay.
However, it's how he teaches it, Joe.
Yeah.
So it's step by step. He'd do 2 steps right in front of us. We'd then copy those 2 steps. Then he'd do another 2 steps. And that's how it works. And we do it very similar in here. Okay. We know clay's daunting. We know art is daunting. But actually, it's just a bit of mud between your fingers, and everyone can do it. I've never had anybody not be able to do it. That has never, ever happened. We've had 3-year-olds in here making dog bowls. We've got a week of mug making. I've got 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds. But the problem isn't ability. The problem is our thoughts.
Yeah. It's the fences we put up, right? It's the boundaries we put up.
But that, it takes us a long time to put those boundaries up. I'm working at the Bowes Museum on the Pippa Hale project, and I had a wonderful opportunity to meet Pippa before it all kicked off. And I asked her this question. I said, Pippa, help me out here. I work with children in after-school clubs. Every single one of them is an amazing artist. I know that because they tell me that. There's nothing they can't do. It doesn't matter what I put in front of them. They can already do it.
Clearly, yeah.
I said, but then there's the adults. Yeah. So I go from a children's class where everybody has an I can attitude to the adults. And it's not artistry skills that I'm looking from them, but confidence. Yeah. And they have none. Yeah. And Pippa Hale said to me, right, goes back to a chap called George Land. In 1968, he was given the task by NASA to study creativity and to find a scale for it and to be able to measure it. And they needed that because they had to get to the moon, and they needed their scientists to be much more creative in their thinking and their approach. So George Land devises these tests and a scale, and what he finds out is that between the ages of 3 and 5, the children tested all came out, 98% of them came out as creative geniuses.
Amazing.
Well done them.
Wow, yeah.
You get to 10 and 30% of them have that same access to creative genius. By the time they're 15, it's down to 12. Do you know what it is for adults?
Goodness. Probably, about 2 maybe?
2%.
Is it?
Good guess. Yeah, it's 2%.
I haven't read the research.
There's an amazing TED Talk.
But I might be, okay, right, TED Talk. Okay.
What George then says is what happens. So something has happened between 3 and 5 to adulthood. Initially, what he really blames is the education system, the way things are learnt by rote. And instead of inquiry being what we're trying to grow, what we do is rote. Yeah. So we learn by rote, and that crushes creativity. I also think when we get to adults, well, I can't tell you how many times adults tell me, I'm not artistic, I can't create, I don't even really know why I'm in this studio, but I'm here. What shall we do? And then it becomes our job as tutors to build that confidence up, and that will happen step by step by doing, and also by failing.
Yeah.
You know, pottery is one of those mediums where you're going to fail at multiple times, and even if you do everything right, just as you've been taught, it can still go wrong in the kiln.
I'm going to say that, you know,
It
actually,
does.
for me, when I was working with Lindsay on those workshops, the one thing she did kind of say is it doesn't matter if it goes wrong, because you can actually rebuild it. You can start again from scratch. You just, you know, just flatten everything and start again if you really want to, kind of thing.
She's right.
And she said, you know, even when you get in the kiln, you're not finished yet.
No.
Because if that lasts the kiln, then you might be nearly finished. Because you don't know what happens in there.
No.
You don't know what's going to happen in there. So, and that is a law unto itself in some ways. You do your best you can to prep it, to make sure it doesn't explode. But things do happen.
Yeah,
so,
they do.
And I think you're right about the whole kind of like learning stroke failing thing. It's just, well, people ridicule other people for it, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
And going back to kind of like the creative thing that I went through. So, I mean, I do a lot of writing, I do a lot of reading and writing, and I'm a dancer, and that's really my creative outlet. But when I moved up here, I didn't know anybody, and my kids were at school, and so I found a workshop that did needle felting.
Oh, wow. I bet that
And
was fun.
It was amazing.
Yeah, it is.
And I rang
felting's
up and just
crazy.
said, I don't have, you know, tiny children. My children are at school, they're at primary, but I don't know anyone in the area. Can I come? And the lady was amazing. She said, absolutely, just come. And I went along, and honestly, I've got this cushion at home.
But it's
that I put
beautiful.
I've stitched my needle felting on the front, and it's a
That's
landscape.
fantastic. That's beautiful.
And I'm still
And there
looking
you
at it
go.
and think, that is really
I did
good.
that.
Yeah. So I think everybody's got
Yeah.
I think everyone's
They
got
have.
some creativity in them. It's just finding the outlet and
Yeah.
letting yourself have a try, I think, isn't it, as well?
So, and like you said, allowing yourself to fail too.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
The other thing clay will always teach you is your relationship with failure
Yes.
and your relationship with perfectionism.
Oh,
Those two
okay.
things, and patience as
yes.
well. It's a waiting game as clay. It really is. And when I'm teaching it, one of the things I describe it, one of the ways I describe it to new potters is clay is your awkward friend.
Yeah, okay.
We've all got them. They are the friend that you have to do things in a certain way, otherwise, do you know what? They're not going to be a friend anymore. But they're worth it. They're worth that effort.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they wouldn't be our friend. Clay's the same. You have to treat it in just a certain way, or it's going to rebel. Even if you do treat it in just a certain way, it still might rebel anyway,
Yeah.
because it's just an awkward friend.
I love
It
that.
really is.
I love that. And going back to mud and more, so clearly the more, I mean, there's so
There's a
much
lot
more.
more.
Oh my goodness. So pickling,
Pickling.
I've picked out pickling, weaving, bread
Bread and butter.
making,
Did you-
butter making.
We did. Did
My
you get
word.
jam making and needle felting? We've done those as
you
well
done
this
needle
year.
felting here?
Yeah,
I didn't
we
know
have.
that.
Yeah, we have.
Jam.
Not us, but we had an
Yeah.
artist in. When we put the business plan together, one of the things that we really noticed is there aren't many art spaces that are just for art in Teesdale. There are spaces that have multi-purpose uses.
Yeah.
But not just for art. So this is a place where artists can hire it by the hour and then come and help equip the community with more skills.
Amazing.
And that's something we'd really like to grow. Other things besides, the commercial work that we do pays for everything.
Yeah.
And we'd like to do more of it. So our next big leap is to digital sales for pottery. We
Okay.
already do loads of fairs, and we're at the Bowes Museum Winter Market. We are also been doing the big agricultural shows. They have been great. But we'd like to open a little Etsy shop for our tutors and also to raise funds for here.
Amazing. Yeah, well, do keep me posted on
will
that, because I
do.
will put that out on
That'd be
all my
smashing.
socials and bits
Thank
and
you.
pieces, but definitely.
We appreciate it.
That's no problem at all, gosh. And so what are your plans going forward? Because last time I think I saw you, we talked a little bit, I'm going to
Go on.
I'm going to expose it anyway,
You
in
go
case
on.
it's not, it may not be happening yet. But we talked about kind of taking things back to grassroots from a cooking point of view, and so bringing families in, or certainly members of families, to come in and learn how we used to cook back in the day, kind of like proper
Yes.
stews and
That's
vegetables and all that kind of stuff, rather than the processed stuff that we are delivered a lot of the
Yeah, we are.
time. and also is only achievable by the salaries that we have or whatever, the incomes that we have. So is that still on the books or?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's a way off.
Okay.
And that would be because that area in there, we had it fitted out as the kitchen.
Yeah.
With that in mind.
Yeah.
However, the electric circuits, we've got 3 kilns, Joe.
Yeah.
If we put a cooker in there, we're going to blow everything. So we have had the motorhome down here, so we can use the cooker in the motorhome that's been outside. And we have got little rings that we bring out and we do the demonstrations on here. Brilliant. So keep watching this space because it's definitely something we would like to go towards.
Yeah, there must be someone that can help you with that.
I hope
there
so.
Must be. We're going to give a shout out for anybody who's kind of in cookers or kitchen-y stuff, and there's got to be someone that's going to help you out with that.
It would be amazing.
Yeah.
What we'd like to do is be able to get the fair share food in and then make something out of that. But we didn't expect to be this busy, Joe. Yeah. We were on a crawl, walk, run approach, and to be honest, we're sprinting pretty
you're
quickly.
Sprinting marathons, aren't you? It's
we
not
literally
even just short distance.
Yeah. And already we're spreading out a little bit.
Okay.
We work quite closely with UTAS at the top of the Dale.
Yeah.
We go up and do pottery workshops there. We're doing our home office work. We are working at the Bose Museum once a week. We were in 2 different schools. So I think our challenge is going to be to just not try and do too much too soon.
Exactly.
Otherwise, it would be really easy to do.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's sustainable.
Yeah. It's a very
we're
sensible
working.
way to look at it,
I think we have to.
Yeah. And you've been open 7 months?
Yeah, just.
It feels like you've been here, I mean, I don't mean to be rude, it feels like you've been here forever, in a good way. As in,
it does.
I think probably because you were talking about it when I first met you, which must have been over a year.
Yeah,
maybe
easily.
Even,
easily.
18 months, 2 years ago maybe.
So.
And so to see it now is really amazing. It's just fabulous. I just love the fact that you're here now. So last question, apart from obviously where do people find you, have you got a book recommendation?
Yes. Oh, so pleased you asked me this. I always have this book recommendation since I was a teenager. I think everybody should read the book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
Oh, do you
it's
know,
my absolute favourite.
One of my friends recommended that to me about a year ago.
Have you read it?
I have read it, and it's the most amazing story.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's really incredible, and I've never come across anything like. In fact, I read more of that. It's not really a series, is it? But more of those books.
Novella. Yeah,
so,
Richard Beck.
Yeah,
he was a pilot.
He's quite incredible to read. That's an amazing recommendation. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Jo.
So, where can people find you? If you want people to come, I mean, very busy, but of course you want people to come. Where can people find you? We're on socials and at your physical place.
Yes, we have a website. They can contact us through there. They can also have a free taster, and that's to any Teesdale resident.
Amazing.
You can come here for 10-20 minutes. We'll put clay in your hands and you can have a little go.
Yeah.
We've been doing that since the day we opened.
Yeah, okay.
You can also use the phone number above the door, which is 077 923 83197, and you'll get through to me.
Okay.
And we'll book you in.
Yeah, fabulous. And you're on Facebook?
We're all over Facebook. We are.
Anywhere else? Not Instagram, I don't.
We are on Instagram, just.
Okay.
But we're not very good at it.
Okay.
We're in those 2 places.
We were just talking, weren't we, about the fact, the pressure on kind of you guys as CIC owners and trying to do your marketing as in social media and all that kind of stuff as well. So I know you've got plans to get that in hand, which I think will help a lot because you've got so much to show. And I do think people need to come and see you physically, clearly, not just on the website. But yeah, I think that people need to come and see you, definitely. Thank you so much for your time.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been lovely to speak to you.
You too.
And I love these guys in the back. I might have to come and do
The
one.
might is not in it. So
okay, I am
in that meeting, you said to me, you're on my list. And I said, you're on my list. Jo, I want to do some pottery with you.
Okay.
And we'll do it together.
Okay.
Just get our diaries together. Oh, I think we should make a sheep.
I'd love to make a sheep.
Right.
Or a Highland cow. Okay, it's a deal.
It's a deal.
You heard it here first. Oh, goodness. I don't know what the world's going to expect, but anyway.
It'll be great. It'll be great.
Thank you so much.
Been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening and watching, and I will see you next time.
Hi, Jo. Welcome to Mud and More. I'd love to give you a little tour of our studio. Tour always starts over here. So, on these shelves, what you're going to find, we believe, is every bit of equipment that you need to throw or hand build in clay. And it's a constantly changing scene, because if you see new stuff, then we pop it in. Normally in here is all the tutors' work, but we've just done a fair. What it does contain are some of the things we've been making when we do our more, which is piccalilli, apple and chilli jelly, a little bit of chutney, and some jams down at the bottom. Here we used to say we have 89 different glazes, but actually we've gone over 100. And that's because we want people to have a choice. What we've got here is a tiny little kiln. That's one of 3 kilns that we use. It depends on the size. A lot of that's about sustainability. We absolutely wouldn't put on a kiln unless it's full, and we don't always have a full load. What you can see on the walls are the work of Teesdale artists. They're all Teesdale artists, and there's a real cross section. For example, this little girl who's our granddaughter is only 4. Whereas we've got a lot of Ray Langdon. He's a really quite well-known Teesdale artist. And the work of Jeff Hewitt next to it, and that's from my shop days. When he came and he had an exhibition in Manchester, and he had all the shopkeepers, and he painted us all in different poses. Over here, you can see some of our plant oils. That's from our plant oil and plant medicine workshop. We're going to run about 4 of those a year. Here are glazed work ready to go into the kiln, and there's some of the glazed work that's come out and is a waiting collection. If we move over here, what you're going to see are the shelves divided up into greenware. All that actually means is when it's been made at the table, we bring it over here for drying before it gets its first firing, which when it has had its first firing, it becomes bisque. And this is bisqueware waiting to be glazed. What is noticeable for me is the standards are really quite high, but the work we've got here is of beginners. We've only been open 7 short months, and for a lot of people it's their first chance to either throw or to hand build, and we strongly encourage a lot of freedom of expression, making things that are practical and useful, or perhaps just a little bit fancy. Here we have Kevin the Kiln. He's the small, he's the medium. And then finally we have the large kiln, which is how Mud and More started. That's all we actually had, was that kiln. No premise, no business plan, no idea, but we had that kiln. And then over here, this is where the work always begins, because this is our clay station. We use a variety of clays. They are extracted in County Down in Ireland, and then they're brought to us. The reason we have a variety is because it's about meeting the needs of the client. And then over here, this is our cosy area. We firmly are of the opinion that people need to leave their day behind when they're in a creative mode. So we invite them in 15 to 20 minutes before the class starts so that they can have a cup of tea, have a biscuit, relax and just leave the day behind before they start to create. Here is the proudest room in the house. So this is our fully disabled access bathroom. We do believe it's the best one in Teesdale, not just because it's quite attractive, but also because it gives the space. And often accessible bathrooms are full of stock or not that accessible, but for us it was a game changer because the whole studio is designed around the needs of a wheelchair user. From door to here, you can do everything in just the same way everybody else can. And that was the mission of Mud and More. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for listening or watching the Responsible Marketing Podcast. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please hit the subscribe button wherever you get your podcast from. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit subscribe there too. I also love to get reviews, as they make a huge difference to others discovering the show. So please leave a review, any comments or questions on whichever platform you prefer. And of course, feel free to share out your socials with your friends and your colleagues. If you want to contact me direct, you can email joe@jolongconsulting.com or find me on LinkedIn under my own name, Joe Long. Until next time, Thanks for listening and for watching.